Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 38. Cole made quick work of building an adequate base for the mercenary force in the remains of Reno. During the next 8 years, his team scoured the remains of California and Nevada, looking for survivors. The northern states of what remained of Oregon and Washington had been quiet, so the focus on the South became the priority. However, the new coastline of California provided challenges that Dolores had warned him about. Cole took a bottle of pills from his pocket and shook it. He scowled at the limited contents, watching a drop of rain hit it. There was another, and then another. Monroe fretted, declaring, "Major, we have to get our teams out of this rain." Cole commanded, watching the drops fall faster and faster. "Chappie, get out the map." A soldier in front of Chappie stepped closer so his backpack was easily accessible, and Chappie pulled a map from it. He studied it for a minute, declaring, "There's a town on the map 5 miles south of here, sir." Another soldier looked at Cole nervously, asking, "What's the plan?" Knowing the rain presented a significant threat, Virgis directed, "Get out the tarps, walk in groups of 5, box formation with 1 in the middle. Rotate that soldier. The tarps should keep the rain off us until we reach that town." "Yes, sir," his team replied. Monroe tucked in close to Cole, whispering, "Hopefully there's fresh water to wash off with. We'll have to turn back after the storm passes. We're running low on iodine. And we'll need more now," Chappie added. Hearing the rattle of the Geiger counter, Virgis inquired, "What's it say, Private?" Jessup looked concerned, replying, "We're approaching unsafe levels, sir, over its rattling noise." "Shit! We got to get to that town now," Cole commanded, stepping up the pace. "I want reports of any bleeding from your mouth or nose." "Let's move, Alpha Team," Monroe told the men, urging them forward rapidly. The men's footsteps stomped loudly in the shroud of rain as they trudged forward. The rain was relentless and the intensity increased again as the wind started to blow. The Geiger counters started racing and chirping a warning. "Major Virgis, we got a big problem here," Jessup warned. Cole scanned his men, noticing one soldier starting to bleed from his nose. "We've got a bleeder. We have to find shelter now, sir," Chappie added. "Monroe, get behind those binoculars. There has to be somewhere we can go," Cole stated, looking out into the fog. Monroe looked through the binoculars, scanning the horizon. "I've got a house spotted at 7 o'clock. Doesn't look very big, though." "Anything will do," Cole concurred, rapidly directing his men toward the building. Haphazardly, they stacked up at the front and back doors. "No signs of life, sir," Monroe reported as he approached. "The back is clear too, sir," Chappie added, walking back to the men. "Chappie, take your team and breach the back. Monroe, you and Jessup clear the front," Cole commanded. Allowing time for Chappie to get in position, the men breached the door and spread out once inside. "It's clear, sir," Jessup declared, returning from the stairs. "Press forward," Monroe directed. The men slowly slunk across the lower level while Cole stood assessing the cabin. Walking towards the dining room, Chappie's team approached. "We're clear from the back, sir," Chappie confirmed. Jessup alerted to something moving in the room behind Cole. "Did you see that?" he asked nervously. The men readied their weapons again, peering back into the room. "Move in," Cole whispered quietly. They slowly re-entered the sitting room, checking the bedrooms down the hall. Confirming there was no one there, Cole assured Jessup. "There's nothing here, Private." "I swear I saw something, sir," Jessup insisted. "What did it look like?" Monroe wondered, humoring the young private. "It was small, with long white hair." "There was nothing there," Cole said, dismissing the private. He was more concerned with ensuring his men didn't get radiation poisoning. "Maybe it was a ghost. I heard about hauntings in the radiation zones. People all blistered and sickly coming back to life," Chappie teased, wrapping an arm affectionately around Jessup. "That's not a ghost. It's a zombie, dumbass," Monroe teased playfully. Flustered by their suggestions, Jessup insisted, I didn't see either of those things. I'm telling you, it was like a little girl with white hair. Perturbed by the distraction, Cole snapped, let's worry about getting washed off so we don't end up zombies ourselves. Go back and see if the shower works, Private. Yes, sir, Jessup agreed. Disgruntled, he huffed as he left down the hallway. We got nothing, sir. Chappie checked the kitchen, Cole said, nodding his head toward the room. Sure thing, sir. He walked away, quickly declaring, We got a hand pump, sir. The sound of the metal squeaking with activity was followed by the sound of flowing water. And it looks like we're in business. Returning to the team under the porch out front, the major told them, Go out in the breezeway and get ready for radiation scrub down. Receiving positive responses from the men, Cole returned to Chappie in the kitchen. You got sponges? Yes, sir. And I already put 2 buckets of water in the breezeway, Chappie assured him. Private Jessup and Whitmer, you're on water transfer. Get cleaned up with the water Chappie already brought, Cole commanded, heading out to wash himself off. Yes, sir, they responded, emptying the used buckets and filling new ones. The men stripped off their clothes and scrubbed each other. Sir, you got some slough and skin, Chappie commented, as he helped Cole with his back. You feeling okay? I'm good. We'll keep an eye on it. And that goes for everyone, Cole commanded. If you have any bloody stool, ulcers in your mouth or throat, fever or fatigue, I need to hear about it. Do you understand? The soldiers replied affirmatively, and Jessup hustled off to get more water. He came back quickly. Major, you're going to want to see this, sir. He led Cole back to the sitting room with Monroe and Chappie. He pointed at a small hatch on the floor. Looks like a hidden hatch to me, Monroe declared affectionately, looking at Jessup. Feeling vindicated, Jessup smiled, informing them. This wardrobe was on top of it. We would have never seen it if we didn't move it. If the wardrobe was on top of it, how did they get in it? Cole wondered, walking over to examine the piece of furniture. He slid out the drawers on the side and opened the door where the clothing hung. He smiled slightly, declaring, I see. They cut the floor out. He pulled up on the floor of it and it quickly slid out. Monroe, let's breach the hatch. Yes, sir, breach team, front and center, Monroe directed, waiting for the men to take their position. Monroe opened the hatch, revealing a ladder that descended into darkness. Monroe looked at Cole and shrugged. Cole motioned for Monroe to descend and the other men to cover him. Slowly, Monroe descended into the darkness with a flashlight and his rifle. What's down there? Cole asked as he reached the bottom. The private's ghost is a little girl. No one else, sir, and there's not much space down here. Bring her up, Cole commanded, sighing with relief. The girl ascended the ladder with Monroe but wouldn't speak to them. Confirming with a nod of her head that her parents were dead, the men waited out the storm and returned home as soon as it cleared. Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 436, season 15, episode 38. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Hey, chin's up, y'all.
Man, happy to have you here tonight. And we've got Dave Jones in the house. What's going on, Dave?
My gosh, I am so happy to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me. It seems like the world is on a tipping point and they need a little NBC guy right now.
Right? Yeah, I don't disagree. So many snowballs rolling down the hill all at once. It's just like, man, I'm on my knees. I'm praying. That's my answer.
Yeah, that is the only answer.
Right? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So big news with the audio drama. I have the full audio drama, all 3 seasons up on YouTube. Of course, not completed because we haven't aired the end of it yet. But you can find my YouTube channel is author Sarah F. Hathaway, or just look for Changing Earth. And you can check the whole series out there. And if you guys would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that would be great. We're really going to try and make a go out of that YouTube channel. So asking y'all to please head on over there and hit that subscribe button. And you'll be able to see the new episodes as soon as they come out. Right now, I see a couple of members in the green room. So, guys, the live episode, or episode 13, is live for you guys, commercial free, over in the members zone right now. And then this Thursday will be the airing of the episode 13 on the public. For the public, it'll hit all the channels, all the podcasts, all that stuff. So, yeah, head on over, hit a subscribe on that YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. And that'd be the big favor for me for today. Alrighty, so we just heard from Virgis, and he was going south. And oh wait, before I go there, Dave, how excited are you for 13?
Oh my gosh. I am so excited I can't even sit down.
I knew you would be. So that's why you got to give me a little pump up. Those were some intense build outs, I'll just say, for the end of the year.
Yeah.
Great.
You're talking to a guy that has listened to each season multiple times. Okay. And wow. All I can say is, PBN family, if you've been listening, you strap on your seatbelt, because this is gonna blow your mind. This is amazing.
Yeah, they're really good up in the. I've been happy with this whole season, but now like the music is going 3.0, you know, and I'll be so excited. I can't wait to hear how you guys love the finale. It's a long show, but well worth it. And so yeah.
Oh, and it comes to a crescendo.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, sir. We're getting there.
That's all I'll say about that.
And then I actually have season 4 written. So that is it'll, you know, it's just a matter of putting together a lot of audio. So the blooper show was last week. It was really funny. If you haven't listened to it, it was pretty funny. I got to pick on Doug a little bit, so I always enjoy that.
Doug is awesome.
He is.
And PBN family, if you don't get enough of Doug, you can hear him on Tuesdays with the what's the name of his show? I'm drawing a blank.
I'm blanking too. The Doug Show.
It's a great show. Yeah,
I mean, it should just be called the Doug Show.
He brings the energy, man.
Reality check. I'm drawing a flashback to Michael Klein.
Oh, got you. Yeah, no. I can't remember it, but he'll be at Prepper Camp again. He's going to be teaching and have his booth. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. What is the Republic?
It is Rising Republic.
Rising Republic.
Rising Republic. Yep.
Takes all three of us to get the show title.
Sorry, Doug. We love you. It's nothing but love, man.
Yeah, don't crack that whip, Doug.
Right? Just leave Sheila at home.
So he did the sudden death. He played, it was like a 2-part show where he played the audio from the sudden death. That was fantastic. This guy is on topic. Oh my God. Weekly.
Right. He's so intelligent and such an artist on top of that. And then, you know, perfect TJ character, even though that's not his character like at all, but he does a great job.
Now I got to tell you, I can listen to him and get the Doug Hogan. I can get that.
Right.
But Virgis
with Phil. Yeah.
If I listen to Phil, I'm thinking Virgis all the time. I don't know why that is.
I
accept, guys.
James's performance in like episode, like 11, 12.
Yep.
Was that off the chart or what?
When he goes positive, I don't want to give any spoilers, but he goes off the rail.
Yes. I was just like, dude, you just smoked that. Like, oh.
And I think he was channeling.
I know.
I think he said, what if?
He's like, you just have a way of like picking the right people to be the right character, you know? And I was like, I don't know, man. You did so. I mean, I just wanted to cry just listening to his audio before I even put it into context. It was really good. Really good stuff. Yeah. Everybody's stepping up. So season 4, is going to be just, oh my goodness. There is so much stuff coming now. Like the floodgates are opening on the story now. It's going to be fast and furious because, I like the action. So.
Well, and in real life, if this actually happened, the cream will rise to the top. Okay? And those people will have to deal with each other eventually.
Right.
And that is true. That's
why I thought it'd be fun to do like the individual character lines and then you knew their backdrops and then like slowly their worlds collide together.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was a fun setup. Okay, so Virgis, his storyline. I wrote the book from his storyline. So they're down south doing roundups down there, but this is an area where there is a nuclear power plant. It's no longer active in Southern California, but they still store the rods there. And Dave, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that is a threat in a post-apocalyptic world because you can't keep them cool, right?
Right.
So everybody who's like, well, we live by this area where they store nuclear stuff, but it's not actually a nuclear power plant, you got to know about that as well and where the wind's going to blow, correct?
Absolutely. Now, look, in Sarah's scenario, every one of the nuclear power plants will melt down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in different scenarios, different things happen. Okay. If you could shut them down, they'll shut them down. But in Sarah's scenario about the world, every nuclear power plant on the planet will melt down and
I literally have my map of my world and I dotted out where all the nuclear power plants were so I knew if my characters were going to be in that area.
Yes.
Because I was like...
That's fantastic. Because, in a nuclear meltdown, it's not like a bomb. Okay, so it won't go high up into the stratosphere and be traveling because it doesn't have the force or the explosion, but it is a meltdown. And in a meltdown, the rods get hotter and hotter and hotter until they burn through their container and eventually make it to the groundwater. And the heat from that hitting the groundwater causes an explosion. Oh. And that explosion is what spews the radiation
around.
Yes, around, and it will be carried by the wind as far up as it goes, and it will be, it'll be like Chernobyl.
Right, and it can go in the rain, right? I mean, it can literally rain down on you.
Well, yeah, and when the rain washes it from the atmosphere, it will make these little radioactive puddles and streams and things like that. Because if it rains right after that hits, you're going to have that kind of contamination. Think about little fine particles that are spewed in the atmosphere and then washed away by rain. It's like radioactive blood vessels.
Mm-hmm.
All over the...
Just traveling.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You could cross them. You could be fine 1 second and radioactive the next second.
Yeah, that's and then how would you know, like, besides a Geiger, right?
Right.
How would you know that, like, you've been exposed to this?
And that's another thing that I like about your scenario, because everything should still work. The electronics, everything that you had before the Earth shifted,
right,
will still work. So you can detect this. The technology that you're talking about in your episodes will still function.
Right, like the Geiger counters and all that are going to work.
Yeah. Well, and you talked about an MRI. If you have enough power, if you can generate enough power, you can make that thing still work. It's not fried like in an EMP effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just infrastructure was just severely crushed. And then because we couldn't communicate with satellites, they went off course and started hitting each other. So it really got screwed up. And to build all that back would be extreme. It would take a long time, Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of men. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why everybody's like, really? With an earthquake? I'm like, okay, have you seen how many prophecies have, we're going to have the megaquake? And do you know what would happen, if everything just collapsed around you? And it's going to take time to build that back up. In the meantime, people got to eat.
Yeah. And in your scenario, everybody is affected.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is some people are affected less than others. Everybody's affected. Everybody has to deal with the situation that they got. And there's no help coming from somewhere else. In a normal earthquake, help comes from outside
to the zone. Mm-hmm.
The zone.
Right.
And every place is the zone. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if there was an EMP,
yes,
does that take out, or a CME, would that take out Geigers unless you had them in a Faraday?
Yeah, it would.
Depends on
the intensity. But it's very hit and miss.
Okay.
Wait, there's a lot of variables. Mm-hmm. So to say hard and fast, this is going to break, this is not going to break.
It might be something that you want to have in your Faraday, though, instead of just in your go bag or something.
Yes. If you have a Geiger counter, it only has one function.
Right.
To work after. So you definitely want that in a Faraday cage.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I like that. I never even thought about it until you just said it out loud. I was like, oh, yeah, that would make perfect sense, because if your technology gets zapped, then you're not even going to be able to detect it until you're bleeding from your nose because you're in radiation.
Yep.
For the body, is there a point of no return? Obviously, there's got to be a point of no return of where you've had, say, we're older, so we're not really worried about thyroid cancer in 40 years, whatever, right? But you and I are traveling along. Is there a point for us? How would you know? Oh my gosh, we have to get out of here without a Geiger counter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or our bodies will never be able to recover from this.
Yeah. There's a couple things there. First of all, anybody listening to this that just tuned in, get the book from PBN. It's free. It's 20 pages. Nuclear War, Prepared, Not Scared. If you get that book, you will be 99% ahead of everybody else in the United States. So it's a PDF. You don't even have to put your email in there. It's a free book that we did right after Russia invaded Ukraine, and everybody was worried about nuclear war. And there's a lot of things in there that tell you about fallout and all that kind of stuff. Get that book.
Okay. Yeah, your class was phenomenal as well. I was always like, I don't really want to deal with that topic. And you just, you're just a natural teacher. You just put it in reality and take that fear away. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, there is stuff we can do.
Yeah, there is lots we can do. And so you were saying about the EMP. So it's not a hard and fast rule, because anything can shield something, from the blast. Okay, so when the CME, the difference between a nuclear blast and the sun is an EMP from a nuclear blast will be like, boom. And then with the sun, it's more like a wave or a sheet that will go over the planet over a period of time.
And explode things.
Yes. Transformers will take in too much electricity and blow up because it supercharges the atmosphere. Very fine electronics like your watch and computers and very, very fine. They'll just, and when I give my class, I say, we just become Amish overnight.
Yeah, right.
But I have threatened Maria several times to go full Amish on her.
Oh, no.
I am not sure what she thinks I mean.
About that. She probably do pretty well. She's pretty savvy lady, that's for sure.
Yes. She went to the well to get her water in a bucket. And you had to put the bucket down in the well. There was no electric bringing it up from the well.
Like pumping it, or the pump to, not even a hand pump.
Right. And you know what I found interesting about that is they have buckets that have a one-way valve on the bottom of the bucket. This is something you'll learn because when you
so they have a technology bucket for this.
Yes.
Okay.
When you drop a bucket in a well, it's gonna float. It's a boat.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. How do you get it to dip?
Yes. So that little valve there is held in place by leather, and there's a seal. And when you drop it in, it will sink slowly, and then you can crank it up, and then the valve closes as you crank it up, and you can get your water out of the well.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay, on the water topic, what do you do if you are exposed? Because I know water is involved in this. Is there any, other than just rinsing with water, is there anything, that you should be doing? Painting yourself with iodine or whatever? No. And yes, you need to clean with soap and water because radiation and particles will stick to your skin, your hair. You need to scrub. That's the decontamination process. So if you can scrub yourself with soap and water, you can effectively decontaminate yourself from radiation. Okay.
The thing is, can you detect it after you've done decontaminating?
Right.
That is the thing. Now, if you can't, watch for rashes that will form. Okay? So that's exposure right next to the skin. The really bad thing is if you inhale it or eat it, because then you can't wash it off. It's in your system and it's going to do the damage until it comes out the other end. And
radioactive poop.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay. So, that's why you put particle masks on. That's why you protect your eyes and your ears and any orifice. Okay. Because if you know you're going to go through a contaminated area or radiation is likely, you want to put that mask on so you don't breathe it in, you don't swallow it, it doesn't go in your nose and lodge in your nose hairs. You want to do that protective measure, and then your eyes, your ears, and I tell people, you could put a plastic bag over your head, okay, a shopping bag, tie it around the neck, you'll look stupid, but you'll live.
Yeah, and don't make it too tight.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, the main thing that you got to do is think. If you think you can solve the problem, and that is the whole essence of prepping, is we are problem solvers.
Right.
And if you take the time to wait, I'm going to cross this area. It may be contaminated. This is what I need to do until I get to the other side. And you can do it.
Well, I would say my characters fail as far as getting ready to go into the radiation zone. They're just like having a Sunday stroll. So
they just look for bloody noses.
Yeah. And bleeding gums.
Well, now, one of the symptoms is nausea, and that will come very quick. Even people that go through radiation therapy have this.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Yeah.
If you go through the
Chemo.
symptoms of chemo, radiation therapy, hair loss, all that kind of stuff, that's radiation exposure.
Mm-hmm. That's why they're all bald guys in my stories. Telling you. Best shelter. So you're out there in it.
Yeah.
Best shelter going underground.
Yeah. The best shelter is to get more distance between you and the radiation as possible. And I like to tell people even air is protection. So if you have a house and 1/4 of it is completely underground, you want to get it in the back, furthest, most low spot that you can in that house. Because even the distance cuts down the radiation.
Do the particles like to sink?
Well, they will go like any other dirt particle.
Okay.
So if you have water, if you have rain, it's going to follow the rain. It's going to go to the lowest possible part. Now, it's not going to go through
your concrete.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And as for your soil, maybe 6 inches, maybe 8 inches. I think about a real dirt particle. It's not going to penetrate. I had a guy, he says, well, I heard that you have to scrape 6 inches of topsoil off before you plant there. And my answer to him was, don't plant there.
Oh. Fair
Go
enough.
somewhere else. Don't even chance it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What if it was like the whole property, though? You got to go to new property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if your property is contaminated, you may have to think hard about relocating.
Uh-oh, you're going to end up in a rap camp. Or the FEMA camp. I call them rap camps for Hollywood.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah. The Hollywood, for some reason, doesn't want me calling them FEMA camps. So.
Really?
Yeah. Because we're picking on a actual institution. It's better if you create a fictional name. So I call them refugee assistance programs.
There you go. Refugee camps.
The rap camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So I get a little crisscross now. I'm writing too many different scripts at once. Okay. And then, well, we kind of touched on it because my next question was going to be like the likely sources for radiation contamination post-collapse that like people might not think of because people are always just like, oh, the bomb. Well, like here in Texas with the wildfires, right? There's a plant that I've heard both, that they assemble nuclear weapons there or disassemble nuclear weapons there. Probably they do both. But anyway, they're handling, nuclear materials there. How many people in that local area really put 2 and 2 together that like, oh, they're dealing with nuclear material there. If we had a long-term power outage or a wildfire that hit this facility, what's going to happen to that material?
Yeah. Well, know that it has to be spread in a way. There has to be some kind of an explosion or
to blast it into the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the contamination, what was it? East Palestine? Were you affected by that?
No.
No.
Or I wasn't here at the time.
Neither was I.
I'm not very far from Palestine. From Palestine, they call it here.
Yeah. So it has to be something that's going to project it into the atmosphere to get it to contaminate a large area.
Gotcha.
Now, there's going to be lots of local contaminated areas, and if you have to cross them, then you have to make a decision to go around or go through. And that's really when you got to start thinking about protection or,
Can we protect ourselves enough to make it through this area? What's the severity, the reasonings, the rationales for going through there? Yeah, that makes sense.
And my suggestion is, if it is a total unknown, like you get to an edge of an area and you're detecting some type of radiation, go around. Right. Because you don't know what you're getting into, and you could cross right over what would be considered ground zero. And
right, like you don't know, you just start detecting it. You don't know if in 5 feet it's going to be triple, quadruple, and how deep you're getting into things. Yeah, that makes sense. Like crossing a river, how deep is it?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Do you cross a river when it's the worst and the most,
treacherous? Yeah.
Treacherous? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No, you find a better place.
Yeah, fair enough. If you're already on the move, on the move. So,
yeah,
might as well just go around. All right. So, thank you for bringing the nuclear discussion. I wrote that. I always do a lot of research before I write things, and then I learn a ton more after I write things. So it's a very cool experience. So I appreciate that. But you just did an article on how to detect impersonating police officer.
Yeah.
A fake cop. And so I'm interested in that because I teach a lot of self-defense. So.
Okay. So this came out of the clear blue, James, professional writer, someone contacted him and he said, well, I have a friend that has more experience with this and maybe you might want to contact him. Now, I have been a state police officer, a federal police officer, and a local police officer. So I have over 1,000 hours of police academy training. And I was a cop for like 8 years, all total, different organizations, different things. And they asked me,
is there anything you haven't done, Dave? I'm just so blown away. Every time we talk, I'm like, wow, you did that too? Like crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. That is exactly what one of my students said the other day. Because I referenced it back to something that I did, and they said, is there anything you haven't done?
Right? I was like, wow, okay. Doing that too. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I have a particular, very particular set of skills.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, when they reached out to me, I said, yeah, I would break it down into different sections, equipment. I should pull up the article. Let me just wing it, okay?
Yeah.
Because, equipment, first of all, if if the lights are flashing and they pull you over, okay, red is reserved specifically for emergency vehicles. Mm-hmm. So blue, yellow, green, all those can be used by other things, but red is an emergency vehicle. So if they're using a red light, it is an emergency vehicle. And that doesn't mean that they can't buy a red light. You can buy a red light. They're just breaking the law. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And another
and they're
thing
breaking the law anyway. So
yeah.
Right.
You know, when they first reached out to me, I really started to think about how this person's psyche works.
Right.
Okay. Because there is a particular type of, and they exist. This is true. Now, how many there are, I have run across 2 in my lifetime. Okay. How frequently this happens, I don't know. But there are people out there that get off on pretending they're cops. And I can't understand it, but I want to tell you like I tell my 16-year-old daughter. Okay? If the light isn't red and he's showing blue and green or yellow or something like that, that's not right. Mm-hmm. Another thing, every police officer will flood your car with as much light as they can put in there. And it will usually be 1 or 2 spotlights and supplemented by their own handheld, big, massive
mag light. Yeah.
Yes. That they hold in the opposite hand that they draw with.
Uh-huh.
Okay? This person wanted me to write the article. They said, give us things that only police know. Okay, so I'm giving you things only police know.
Yeah.
They are trained to use the opposite hand with their flashlight and everything else. When they hand you the ticket book, they are going to hand it to you with their non-shooting hand. Okay?
Yep.
So they put the light in the car. If that light doesn't happen, and then equipment-wise, I had access to more equipment than I could fit on my belt. Okay, so
Batman.
Batman. You always want, if they step out of the car and the only thing they have on them is a sidearm.
No.
How are they going to affect an arrest?
Mm-hmm.
They need handcuffs. If they don't have handcuffs, tasers, mace,
the cell phone holder, the
cell phone holder,
body cam,
the magazine. They got to have at least 2 magazines.
Yep.
Walkie-talkie.
Yep.
If they're not talking,
usually it's on their collar or whatever. They have the little handheld one that goes up high. Mm-hmm.
Or even in their car, you can see them in their car. If they're not calling this into dispatch, that's a red flag right there. If they're not calling it to somewhere else, so then I go on to uniform. Okay. If the guy gets out and all he has on is a uniform shirt and blue jeans.
No.
Okay, because
it's Casual Friday.
It's Casual Friday.
There are no Casual Fridays.
Right. They have to have their uniform. Yeah.
Yeah. And a majority of the police officers that are out there are former military. They take pride in their uniform.
With their gig lines and everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
They will not be unclean, unshaven. They will have a fresh haircut.
They do have shorts now, though.
They do?
Yeah. Like, especially the bike cops, the ones that ride around on bicycles.
Well, the bike cops, you know.
Well,
We used to make fun of the bike cops.
Oh, their little helmets.
Yeah. So then I go on to say, and one of the first things that you can see, and it comes from anybody that's ever been pulled over, is demeanor. Okay? A cop has a specific demeanor. And you can almost taste it or smell it.
Yeah, okay. It is a tone. It is a specific tone. They are setting right off the bat. Yep.
They know what they're doing. If that guy comes up to you and he seems unsure, confused, maybe not right on, you have to ask the question, how long have you been a police officer?
Right? He's like, hey, what up?
Now I put a personal anecdote in there at this point because I was fresh out of the academy where they train you that you are going to die, that everybody has to shoot you every second of the day. Okay. So I'm on my first midnight shift and it's like 3:00 in the morning. We go to the diner for lunch. It's the only diner that's open. And I go to the bathroom and I'm right at the urinal, ready to do my business. And the door opens behind me. Okay. And I freeze. And the guy comes up and he does his business at the urinal next to me, but he is frozen too. And finally, after a moment of awkward silence, he says, dang, I've never pissed next to a state trooper. And I turn to him and say, well, I've never pissed as a state trooper.
Nice.
And we talk, and I tell him I'm just 2 weeks out of the academy, you know, and it was a good conversation. It was very funny, you know. I mean, stage fright, it happens.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's great.
That's part of the article. And then I ended up with, if you ever have any questions, okay, you can ask to see ID.
Yes.
Okay? There is no police officer on the planet that will object to showing you his ID because they want you to know that they have the authority to do what they're doing right now and to have no question in your mind. They keep their ID front and center. They may have it on the top of their wallet or they may have a special ID badge, a wallet, but they will show it to you. It will have a photo ID. It will have a date of issue. It will have a date of expiration, and it will have the guy's name and some kind of identification number. If they don't have a badge number, they'll have an identification number. And it will be an ID that is really produced well. It may even have a hologram on it or a watermark. There'll be something to make it so that it's not easily reproduced.
Right. Yeah. It can't just be like printed off the internet and stuck in a little laminator or whatever.
We'll also have the department, what department he's with, what agency he works for. So all of that together. And if it looks like it's been laminated and produced on a computer, it's when you need to dial 911. Right.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day of the captain like shows up at this this cop was arresting this guy for a DWI, and then the captain shows up drunk.
Wow.
Yeah. and like starts giving the officer a hard time. They actually got in an altercation and everything. I was like, okay, that's awkward moment. Like,
well, yeah. Now there are good cops and there are bad cops.
Right. Well, there's all kinds of people.
Yeah, that just happens. But I had to, I started to think Deanna's soon going to drive.
Yeah. Yes.
And a young girl, 16 years old, driving, and you have to say to yourself, wow, what is the motivation?
She needs to come to my class this year.
Yeah, absolutely. What would, what's going through that guy's head that he is,
portraying himself?
Yeah, as a police officer.
Yeah.
What is the ultimate? Is it a power trip?
No, I would assume it's I'm going to put you in cuffs and put you in the back of my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to assume the worst.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the deal? Like, you would definitely, well, especially a single passenger female in a car, but you'd want to go to a well lit, populated, like a like a truck stop or 7-Eleven or something, right? To pull over to get pulled over into. What as a police officer, what's the how long would you trail a car, allow them to go before you
before you get really ticked off?
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? I mean, you don't want to just pull over on a 2-lane road out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So from the time of the infraction, so he observed something that's not right. He's in control. The police officer is in control. He can turn his lights on at any time. And usually they know the roads. They know where you can pull off, where it's not going to be good to pull off. Because they're going
to have to get out of the car too, right?
Yeah. Yep. And the dark on a 2-lane.
Yes. Yeah. So you flip the lights. This is me. Okay. I flipped the lights on when I knew there was a place that they could pull over safely. It may or may not. You got to understand, I was in Anchorage, Alaska. Okay.
Not very many 7-Elevens.
It may or may not be well lit, but I knew you could pull over and it was safe to do so for them and me.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
because you see a lot of well, not a lot, but you see a lot of videos of like cops like getting clipped and stuff on the side of the road.
Yeah, people draw into the lights, right?
Yeah. A lot of times it'll be they're passing you and you're going the opposite way. So they flip the lights on so that you see that they know you're speeding. Okay. So then you might as well just slow down.
Yep.
Start looking for a place to pull over.
Face the music.
Exactly. But we're talking about the guy that has a bubble light in his car. And so I was in Wisconsin. Okay. And this guy pulls me over. Now, it was an absolute positive police car. Okay. Markings, everything, lights, everything. This guy gets out and all he has on is a police shirt. He don't even have a badge on it. Okay.
No pants?
No, he had jeans. He had jeans on. Okay. Now, another thing, I tell people what you should see on a police shirt. You should see a name tag. You should see a patch. You should see a badge. Sometimes a whistle. Maybe even a rank. Okay? You'll see collar, insignia. And these are the things that police take great pride because they want to present a professional appearance.
Right.
If you present a professional appearance, 99% of your altercations go out the window. They know that you're the guy that's going to do the thing. So
Right.
they don't even try. But if you don't have all that, anyway, this guy in Wisconsin, he gets out, he comes up to the car and he says, I need to see your driver's license. I gave him my military ID. Okay. He looked at it and he gave it back to me and said, you need to stop better at that stop sign back there. And I'm like, okay, this guy was not a cop. I think what happened was he had a cop buddy because it was a small town. And he said, hey, let's go out and rouse some drunks or something like that.
Oh, yeah, go.
He says, I'll let you do it. I'll let you drive. And he gave him one of his shirts.
Oh, no.
I mean, this, first of all, that's insane.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Not cool at all.
Not cool. Not cool. But when I showed him my military ID and I gave it to him and he looked at it like it was a driver's license and then gives it back to me, I knew he had never done this before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Crazy Garden Girl saying that she had a friend who had that experience that was getting pulled over by somebody who was not a police officer. And she called 911 and they confirmed that they had no one out there patrolling at the time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So more and more.
Did they send someone?
Interesting. Very interesting.
God.
I'm going to have to mention this. This is going to be a new piece for my class. You're going to have to send that article over to me.
Okay, I will.
I'll update my I'll update my anti-kidnapping class with it. Awesome.
Because,
I think that was definitely worth well, I still got to get through the Changing Earth news, but it's not huge, so we're good. But yeah, that was a good piece of info there, Dave.
Well, thanks. I hope they like the article.
Yeah. Yeah, send that over to me. Like I say, I'd really like to update my anti-kidnapping class because I just got so much feedback last year from my classes as far as like people getting ribbons tied on their cars. They tie them on like the passenger side back door. And you're actually getting tagged by a gang for like abduction later. Women that are now like go to a party and it's not like taking the drink. They just straight stick a needle in you.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. One gentleman, his daughter went to this pool party and they straight up walked up behind her and stuck a needle in her. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's like, you've got to have a battle buddy when you go to these parties. You know, you've got to have somebody to watch your back. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's getting really, really interesting as far as like the methods now that they're taking because there's, the broken glass effect. Once you're allowed to go one step, then they take 4, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's just, the consequences aren't there enough to stop this behavior and it's really getting out of control.
Yeah. Well, now, if you say to a police officer who obviously is about to give you a ticket or something, you say to him, if I could I please see your identification? There's no police officer in the planet that will not produce that.
Mm-hmm.
If they refuse or get upset, that is a big, big sign. Huge.
Red flag. Yep.
Red flag.
Yeah. Well, I've seen too many of those lately.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Dave. Well, you want to stick around for the Changed Earth news, or is Warden calling you back to slave labor there?
Yeah, the warden has me on a short leash, and I've already exceeded my limit.
Yeah, Brock had a list for while I was podcasting as well.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I'm not alone.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You know, you're always welcome, 100%. And you've got to tell me how you love the, what you think of the episodes, the last 4 that are coming out.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited to share them with everybody. It's going to be cool. So.
Okay, take care. See you, Chin.
Yeah, always fun chatting with you, buddy.
Same here. Hey, maybe the next exercise you can come on.
I know, right? I'm getting jealous now.
Alrighty. So let's go ahead and play some weather music just real quick, and then we're going to just whip through the Changing Earth news. But I thought it was definitely worth keeping Dave around for that info. That was great. All right, Changing Earth news. So sun's quiet today, but that has not been the case. Last week we had a few big X-class solar flares and just glancing blows, but we had all those outages, right? The cell phone networks went down.
Oh, right.
Right? Pharmaceutical, like the prescription systems were involved.
Yeah.
Some of the gaming systems, lots of systems went down.
Yeah.
So that was that's like a little reality check right there. Like that quickly. And that wasn't even like a big deal. It wasn't even like a long duration X class. It wasn't even that big of an X class. I think it was like an X1. So
and I was away from home in a city. Oh my goodness.
Right? What were you doing? Oh, I hope you had your go bags, everything. That's where Brock will be like, do we really need our go bags? I'll be like, yes, we do.
And remember I sent you a picture. I went to Palmetto State Armory, their store.
Yeah.
And they were closed because their systems were down.
Went down. Exactly. How fast? If you don't have cash on hand.
I was watching for that red balloon when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was like at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Yeah.
It wasn't even that big of a deal.
Yeah, and they were closed. They had a big sign on the front door. Couldn't go in.
Yeah. I was impressed by how much it affected. And they were like, well, it's got to be hackers or whatever. And they determined at the end that, no, it was the X-class solar flare. It was too many, like... If you were going to pull off a hack that big, then why wouldn't you have hit more essential systems, right? So, very crazy stuff. So, guys, stay ready. Like, we just never know where the Earth is or the sun is still ramping up. We're still at the at kind of a warning period. So, like Dave says, you know, you wake up and you're Amish the next day. So... Make sure you have some cash on hand. I mean, you won't be able to spend it long term, but at least like you could go buy stuff up while you can with the cash. Yeah. All right. So on the 25th, we had 394 earthquakes or 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 6.0 in the Indian Ocean near West Java. Indonesia had a giant landslide that destroyed this dam. About 600,000 residents had to be evacuated. We're talking a lot of homes destroyed. It is not looking good over there. You know, Indonesia sits on this piece of land that used to be out of the water. So, like, literally, it's been sinking for a long time. And you just have to wonder, will Indonesia be there for the long haul? So prayers go out to everybody over there. That's such a challenging place to live. You want to talk about knowing how to deal with natural disasters? They're like in it all the time. Xinjiang, China, they just keep coming up. They had a 5.8 earthquake on the 25th. That's where they just had that rapid cooling event. It went like 40 degrees colder and so quickly that it froze the snowbirds out of the air. Absolutely insane. I can't remember if we were talking about it on the show before this one or if it happened during the blooper week. But absolutely insane event. That is like day after tomorrow stuff. That is like we just never seen it on our planet before. So very interesting. Queensland, Australia. They were having more rain and flooding on the 25th. On the 26th, there was 357 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.1 in Nicaragua. And we had a 5.0 earthquake in Idaho. Idaho is Yellowstone region. So that's why that is a flagger in my head. There's debate about, is Yellowstone still connected to these vast resources of magma, or is it cut off at this point? So it's just kind of like doing its thing with what it's got. I don't have the answer to that question, but everybody knows it is a super volcano, so we keep our eyes on it, and it does have a severe amount of earthquakes there. It's just we've seen the larger ones coming into play, and that's when it gets scary. So on February 27th, we had 404 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.2 in the Timor Sea by Indonesia. There was also a 2.7 earthquake in Idaho that day. On the 27th is also when the Texas wildfires began in the Panhandle. Yes, I'm fine. I know that Garden Girl is fine. We're all doing okay. The fires are up in the Panhandle. There's a lot of land up there, and they are on fire. So prayers to everybody involved in that circumstance. It is not even contained at this point. So looks like it's going to be moving into Oklahoma. So we'll just keep saying prayers that they can get that fire out and the winds die down. We get some rain through there. Peru saw flooding in the north. And then on the 28th of February, there was 380 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.5 in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. In Bolivia, Central South America, flooding on a massive scale, 500 people displaced, second largest flooding event in history. These are big flooding going on in Bolivia right now, also in Brazil. So it's a big flood event going on down there. In Gwadar, Pakistan, they also saw a massive flooding event there on the 28th. On February 29th of 2024, there was 413 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. Popocatépetl in Mexico, the volcano there released a massive ash and lava release that they were worried about it affecting the city of Mexico City. On the 29th, the Texas fires grew to over 1 million acres, and it was only 3% contained. On March 1st of 2024, there was 454 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.9 in the Arabian Sea by Yemen. In eastern Canada, they had a storm with some major flooding and power outages up there. On the 2nd of February, the 2nd of March, there was 388 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 5.8 in the South Pacific Ocean near Fiji. Iceland started getting shooken by hundreds of earthquakes. They were knowing it was going to erupt again, which it was. Last I heard, it was in that Blue Lagoon area, which always makes me laugh because of the movie. But it's a major tourist attraction. So I guess people like to see the lava too, but they like to go there for different reasons. From what I understand, the Blue Lagoons is like a hot springs area. So, makes sense that you'd have volcanic activity there. Let's see. Northern California and Nevada, they were just slammed by a winter storm coming through. This means more rain for Southern California. Some big snow accumulations up in the mountains. It went down. The snow went all the way down to lower elevations. They had 121 mile an hour wind gusts at the top of the Sierras. So it was a very, very windy event as well. I am probably going to be a busy girl tomorrow with claims, I imagine. But I was like, maybe I should just call in sick. But Turkey had some flooding going on there, property damage, coastal regions evacuated. And then today, the 3rd of March, there was 435 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, biggest of which was a 6.7 in the Macquarie Island region. Chin gave me the heads up on that one this morning before I even got in any kind of research. So thank you, Chin.
Yes, I know.
Right? I love it. That was the biggest of the day. That's actually down by New Zealand, so a lot of activity happening down there. As far as volcanoes erupting, we have 26 volcanoes actively erupting on our planet. We have 19 showing minor unrest, and we have 32 showing unrest. 19 showing minor activity, 32 showing unrest. So as far as erupting, we're actually down 2, but we went up 1 in the minor activity and we went up 1 in the unrest. So Europe's kind of quieted down, but it's really shifted to Indonesia and activity there. Right now in the United States of America, we have 33 active wildfires. There was something like 91 new fires up on the list, which was crazy, but they had like 63 of them contained. So 33 actively burning right now for a total of 1,458,000 acres. Texas is obviously top of that list with 1,251,000 acres on fire. That is from 11 new fires, 5 active fires with 11 new ones, and 6 of them are contained. In Oklahoma, they have 37 new fires right now. They're up to 128,955 acres on fire. 23 of those fires are contained. So it looks like they're just shifting resources from Texas and Oklahoma to try and get a grip on what's going on here. Surprisingly, Nebraska is coming in 3rd place with 69,810 acres. This is on fire. This is from 1 new fire. So they've got some activity going up on there. You're just not hearing as much about it because of the massive amounts of damage in Texas. They've lost a lot of structures. It hasn't been a good day for a lot of people up there for a while. So they're gonna need some loving and some prayers. Alrighty, guys. Sorry the show was a little bit longer than what we normally do, but I think that it was 100% worth it.
It was a Jones factor.
Right. It is the Jones factor. It's always so nice to have him on, though. I miss him. I didn't get to see him last year because he didn't come. And yeah, definitely missing that, man. Head on over to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. That would be awesome if you guys can do that. Get more people involved. It's a really easy platform to listen to the audio drama. So I think that we can really lift the viewership there on YouTube. So please head on over to my YouTube channel, give it a like and a subscribe. You can just go over to my website, changingearthseries.com. I have a link there, or go on over to YouTube, look for Changing Earth. Author Sarah F. Hathaway is my channel. It's a little long, so what are you going to do? I already named it. Can't change it now. So, alrighty, well, let's go ahead and get out of here. Thanks, Chin, for hanging out with the Dave, man, and kicking it with us.
Fun times.
Always appreciate your time, for sure. Good questions today. You had some good ones. Alrighty, until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.